Call the meeting to order at 6:32. First item is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on July 23rd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second item on the agenda is an appointment to the Gateway Commission. We have a vacancy in the alternate position right now. And a fellow, Connell Sampson, has expressed his interest in an email to me. He's spoken with our representative, Nancy Fishbeck, and he actually attended their last Gateway meeting. Subsequent to that meeting, he came in and asked if we would consider appointing him. I think he's looking pretty seriously at the conservation of the river and the actual task and the guardianship, I guess, or whatever the Gateway Commission feels that their charge is. So he sounded like he would fit right in. Nancy speaks very highly of him. So if we can get a motion to appoint Connell as an alternate position.
Make a motion to appoint Connell Sampson to the Gateway Commission, term to expire 7/1/2020.
As an alternate position.
As an alternate.
I'll second it.
Any conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Audience of citizens, is there any other business? Come on up here. Come on to the table.
I'm happy to sit. Happier to sit.
Okay.
Stand.
Sit anywhere you like.
Okay. So I don't blither on like an idiot. Good evening. I'm Lenore Gronko. I live at 41 Kirtland Street. I'm here to ask the Town of Deep River Board of Selectmen, Planning and Zoning, and any other relevant departments and committees to consider working together to find an appropriate buyer for the Mount St. John property. I'm asking that you include interested townspeople as well. Rather than sit back and spend months in a loop of reacting to whatever buyer comes forth, why don't we work together and be proactive as a town to evaluate who would be the best new tenant for this amazing property. It would be wise to use a professional such as a land use planner and real estate agent who's experienced in finding buyers on a national scale to seek that new tenant. Let's find out what the best features and limitations of the property are and market it accordingly. Of course, we can all look at the Mount St. John property and see that it has amazing commercial, residential, and everything in between potential. But unless we take an active stance in the process, we could be at odds with potential buyers and each other. We don't want that. It's not unusual for towns and cities to function this way. And maybe you've already made this decision and have taken the first steps unbeknownst to us. Yes, I realize that the property is not ours to sell, but let's assume for the time being that the Archdiocese may be willing to work with us in securing a buyer who will bring them a price they're happy with, while ensuring a peaceful future for the town of Deep River. I believe that we should be acting expeditiously on this and not necessarily waiting for Walmart to arrive or hear noise about representatives for Trump Deep River to send forth interest. We all want what's best for the town and our neighborhood. Please be proactive so that the town doesn't have to be reactive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well said. It's very well said. There are a couple of things. I have been working with in communication, certainly not working with, but working in communication and meeting with the director of the Transition Academy, who actually has control of the property. The Archdiocese lost control of the property by virtue of a lawsuit. Now, I may be missing a little bit here and there as far as detail, but the crux of the situation right now, to my understanding, is that the Archdiocese does not control the property. The Transition Academy does, as a result of the lawsuit. The Transition Academy only has a little bit of control. The attorney for all of this has much more control over what's happening. He's based out of Chicago. I have met with them. We certainly are trying to get as much input as we can.
I'm sorry, I feel like all properties that are in courts are based in Chicago. I mean,
yeah, no, that's right. There is a real pressure on the academy to sell the property because of the, I don't know the proper terminology, the defendants in the case that were awarded, whatever the proceeds are from the sale of that property. It does not go to the church, it goes to the defendants in this lawsuit. There's pressure from their attorneys to hurry up and sell the property. There's pressure from the town to take your time and let's find the proper developer. We, as you say in your so well in your letter, we do not have a lot of control. I am trying my best. We certainly will work with everybody that we want to. I've spoken to a couple of folks in the neighborhood that have another school they'd like to see up there, all that kind of thing.
Spoken with a couple of people in the neighborhood who have another school?
No, they have another school that they would like to see up there. They're not involved in the school. They have a contact with this school. It's a very good school. Information's on my desk if you want to talk about it.
Huh. Okay.
You know, the reality is that we don't control the property. We will do what we can to try to be in the game, but we don't have control. It's private property, privately owned.
Sure.
That it's under a court order to be sold. So there's pressure to hurry up and sell it. I'm trying to apply pressure from the other side to take your time. Let's find someone who is best for the town. So that's where we're at.
Who actually holds title to the property?
As far as I know, and I haven't gone in there and looked it up, as far as I know, the diocese had title, and they've relinquished that to the Transition Academy by virtue of the court order. But I have not gone in the town clerk's office and looked at that documentation.
So if this property is sold, proceeds go to?
The proceeds go into this kitty that is distributed amongst the 35 or 40 defendants in the case.
There are, as I understand it, 40 lawsuits.
That's what I understand too. I'm not sure of the numbers, so I don't
Right.
want to, I can't say
I
that they're
read
not
that
written in stone.
somewhere,
Yep.
so.
You know, somewhere between 30 and 40.
Have they been approached and asked if, we can somehow work together or
The
they?
defendants in the case? Absolutely not. I've spoken with the attorneys.
The attorneys.
Yeah. But I'm certainly,
Do they,
I can't reach out to them. So.
is it on the market? I mean, is it?
As far as I know, it has not been listed.
Okay.
But I talk to the director once a week, once every 2 weeks, and she just got back from Ireland, so I haven't spoken to her in a couple of weeks. We sent a message to each other today to try to find time. But as far as I know, it's not even listed.
Well,
I think
something.
for $100,000, we should be able to scratch up.
I'm actually, I've had a couple of folks approach me and say, let's go up there and start a farm. So,
Huh. Wow. All right.
all right, thank you. That's a great
Thank you.
letter. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, Gary? I think you had your hand up. No? Okay. Mike? All good?
Thank you.
Been saying this for too long now, but I have word from pavers that we will be on Westbrook roads this month. They said they were on a project in Branford, and as soon as that's done, they'll be here. So,
That's doable, right?
yeah.
The weather hasn't helped.
No, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. Other than that, we've got the town meeting tonight. We can have a good conversation about a good project, what I believe to be a really good project for the town. So, if there's nothing else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Call the meeting to order, the special town meeting at 7:01. And then our first order of business will be to elect a moderator, and I'm going to nominate Jim Olson to moderate tonight's meeting.
Second?
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Jim, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Next item, election of the clerk. I'll entertain any nominations for clerk tonight.
Nominate Amy.
Second?
Second.
Any other nominations? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? So moved. Now, Amy, if you would read the call of the meeting, please.
The electors and those persons eligible to vote in town meetings of the town of Deep River, Connecticut are hereby warned and notified that a special town meeting will be held in the auditorium at the Richard H. Smith Town Hall, 174 Main Street, Deep River, Connecticut, on Tuesday, August 13th, 2019, at 7 p.m. for the following purpose. Item 1, to discuss and vote on a resolution, A, to authorize the town of Deep River to conduct an energy upgrade of 3 town buildings, the elementary school, public library, and town hall, the project. B, to appropriate $359,846 for the costs of the project and authorize the town to borrow an amount not to exceed $282,046 over 10 years at an interest rate not to exceed 3.43% to finance the town's share of the project costs after grants. And C, to authorize the first selectman to enter into contracts for the project and the first selectman and treasurer to borrow the town's share of the project costs and to execute and deliver all documents related thereto. This notice was dated at Deep River, Connecticut on the 7th day of August, 2019.
Call for a motion to adopt the call of the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Okay, motion to, we move on to item number 1, and that's the discussion.
Let's
Yep.
do it. Let's do it.
Approve.
We need a
Okay, right,
motion
there
to
we go.
approve, yeah.
Need a motion to approve item number 1 of the special town meeting.
So moved. Second.
Who seconded? Thank you.
What is item number 1?
Item number 1 is what Amy just read.
It's the only
Call of the
item.
meeting. There's only one item.
Yeah, there's a copy.
Here it is.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Is there any, now the discussion?
Yep. Let me introduce to those of you who are unfamiliar with this project. Back in October, we elected a couple of firms, NEEC in particular, to do some research on an energy-saving project in the town that involved the elementary school, the library, and the town hall. NEC started in October to put together a portfolio as is required by Eversource. And and we have a lot of the contractors here today, represented here today. So if I speak out of order or if I misstate something, please correct me as soon as you can. Once that was done, we looked over the book, what was suggested to do, which the majority of the work is changing the lighting out in the elementary school and also updating 25 or 30-year-old heating components to the heating system. In the town hall and the library, I believe the work is almost exclusive to lighting. But the elementary school, we have a lot of work that needs to be done on the heating system, mostly replacement of valves that have been there since the system was installed when the school was redone. This group put together this proposal, sent it off to Eversource. Eversource looked at it. Eversource determined what the cost was going to be, and Eversource sent it back to the group and to the town to discuss. We went through the Board of Selectmen, unanimously moved it forward. The Board of Finance unanimously moved it forward. And because of the special borrowing that's going into this, or the time frame that goes into this, in order to keep this project cash neutral or cash positive, we had to go to a 10-year loan. In order to do that, we felt it best to go to the Board of Education and ask for their approvals as well. We had a 4-to-1 vote to move this forward to the town. Let me explain a little bit about the financing on this. The project itself, as the warning describes, is a $359,846 project. $77,800 is incentive money provided by Eversource to the project. So the total cost to the town is $282,046.79. Now, in order to keep it cash neutral, we needed to go to 10 years, cash positive, hopefully. And as it looks right now, this will save the town an estimated $578 a month. And I'll explain a little bit of why that's not greater now. The lighting components on this will save a tremendous amount of money, much more than that number indicates. But the fact that we're taking on the gas component of this as well, the heating units at the elementary school, the cost of that is not so much going to save energy as to provide efficiency and more comfort, and more importantly, to stop and estimate an annual maintenance costs, because we're going there, we're replacing these valves a little at a time. A couple a year, a couple of the larger ones, if they cost upwards of $10,000 a valve. A number of them are much smaller, they don't cost as much, but this has been going on for many years. We've been replacing a couple of valves a year. I think that this project benefits the town because we can utilize the money that we're saving in electricity to provide money to fix all of the valves, all of the heating units now, and still end up at a cash neutral or cash positive position. Obviously, we don't know what energy costs are going to go. An example of this project is around 10 years ago, we redid some lighting over at the elementary school. At that time, our electric bills were $5,000 a month. That dropped immediately down to $2,500 a month. 10 years later, it's up to $5,000 a month again. So we need to keep going with efficiencies as they come up, and that's what this will do. And the other part of this, and then I'll open up the floor for questions and comments, is that this provides an energy efficiency that we all need to work towards. You know, we need to save energy in the country. We need to save energy in the world. The best way for a municipality to encourage that is to take these projects on ourselves. And I think this is the best way. We'll have 3 municipal buildings right up to state as far as lighting goes, and with a heating system at the elementary school that will be efficient and working properly and saving us upwards of $7,000 to $8,000 to $9,000 a year on maintenance alone. So that said, that's an explanation of the project. I'm certainly open for any conversation that we have here.
So the valve replacement is included in this, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the savings goes back to the town, or?
The savings goes to the town. The savings, all of the money that's spent on the energy for these 3 buildings comes basically through the town budget. The Board of Education pays, part of their budget is their utility bills, but that comes from the town. All of our taxes go to paying the utilities, excuse me, all of our taxes go to pay the utility bills for the elementary school, the library, and the town hall. The savings on this project will be mostly generated through lighting. When we look at the final numbers of what we save totally, it's deceptive because we're going to save a lot on electricity. We're not going to save a lot on gas, and we're going to spend a lot on heating to get that up to speed. The important part of that is we're not spending any money. At the end of this project, we will be either saving upwards, it could be as much as $40,000 a year, or it could be as little as $578,000 a month. It could be even Steven, depending on what utility costs do. But we are going to be able to stop going a little at a time with correcting the valves. So we'll save a lot of money on maintenance and a lot of money on efficiency, and we can incorporate that all into this program and still end up cash neutral or cash positive.
Were there any projections on what the valve replacement would be costing over the next 10 years?
I would go to these guys. The numbers we're spending, you know.
That are on the project, so.
Yeah, there's 88 of them, 88 radiation valves, plus 7 air handlers. So we're going to be replacing all of them, which are all pneumatic right now. And the question was,
Over the 10-year period of this particular project, if we had to replace those separately, what kind of cost numbers would you be?
it would be huge. And you have a 6-year warranty on
60?
Six. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. 6 year on the material. Yeah. So you want to replace a valve for, or an actuator for 6 years, and, at least.
The system now, it's gas,
It's pneumatic, so there's gas heat.
but we can
And
go
We
to
have-
oil if gas went
Can do
crazy.
oil.
We have furnaces for both gas and oil, so we can go to burn either one. And either one that doesn't really matter to this system. This system is what pushes the water in the air
It's
through.
controlling that, so we could go either way.
Yeah, and all the valves right now are controlled pneumatically with air. So at the end of this project, you're also going to be shutting off an air compressor that won't have to run anymore, because everything pneumatically in the school will be taken out, and all electronic actuators will be put in their place with new valves. So you lose the maintenance cost on that compressor as well.
Now, the lighting would be all LED,
Yeah.
and LED has obviously a much longer lifespan, and the maintenance people at all three buildings won't be going around replacing fluorescent bulbs and all that a lot, so that would save money out there also.
Correct. And
Compared to what we have, LED is substantial, correct?
Yeah.
John or Susan, you had a question? Okay.
Is there a study and/or proposal that's available to be read? And was it done in some detail on each of these buildings in terms of each one of the systems? And in addition to that, was there an estimated payback period for the cost? I mean, normally with an energy conservation project, you do some sort of estimating. That being said, as you've pointed out, energy costs are, an imponderable, but you do make an estimate. And was that done?
Yes, it was. I've got a couple of binders about this thick that you're welcome to peruse in my office, and there's one there if you want to look at that. As far as the projection, most of these projects are done to keep at a cash neutral in 4 years. Because of the size and the scope of this project, and that comes 0% interest and all that kind of thing. Because of the size of this project, to keep it at cash neutral, so we didn't have to go back to the town and say, we're gonna increase our budget to pay for this project. We stretched the borrow out to 10 years. That gets us to where we can do this at a cash positive or cash neutral.
So you're estimating that within that 10-year period, that it would be at least a payback,
Yeah.
if not a positive generator.
Yes. Yep.
That's not a bad, as far as energy conservation projects, I did a lot of them in the 70s and 80s actually myself. And we were looking then, sort of the oversights and financiers of those things in the public realm, we're looking at like 5-year payback so you could kind of get it to go.
Yeah.
10 years right now is not a bad payback at all.
Yeah, I think this has worked out. These folks have worked really hard to get this in front of us, and we've worked really hard to get this financed. We've, just to say, over the last 2 days, I'm still working on financing this, and we went from 3.75 to 3.43 to 2.75 interest rate in those couple of days. So we're really working to get this, so it's going to, and that's going to be another $100 a month savings. So we're working pretty hard to get this. Hang on one second, let's give Susan a chance.
So if this is so great and you were able to convince all of these little, boards and everything, why can't you present it to the town?
That's what we're doing right now, Susan.
No, but, I guess you are. It's just not enough people showed up. And every voter in town is gonna be impacted by this.
Every voter
But
in
you
town, hopefully we'll save a
didn't
little
say that
money.
on here. You didn't say that guys from the people that are doing this are gonna be presenting this. And I haven't heard their presentation.
They're here to answer any questions that you want.
But they should do a presentation. I mean, you're telling me, but they aren't telling me how great the project is and how well it will work.
Like I said, I think it would be, for me, and we've been
you're not
involved in these
an
things,
engineer,
but if there could be a little more in-depth explanation of the individual components of the project.
That's why they're here.
So maybe we
That's
could
what
talk
I'd
about
like to hear. I mean,
Absolutely.
sell me on it, please.
Yeah.
Tell me how great it's gonna be.
Can I just ask, you had said that Eversource comes up with the number.
Yeah.
And then how does it fall? You guys accept or deny if you could do the job for that amount?
Well, before we even get there, Eversource puts together a team of vendors to go out and solicit in this small B program, which our job in the small B program is to provide energy efficiency expertise that can't be afforded in-house, whether it be a municipality or a small business. So we go in there, we're contracted to go in, do all our investigations, put together energy projects, and in hopes to sell them. So in order to be an approved vendor, they have a bid submittal process that is, very long and arduous. We fill it out, but one of the components is agreement to set pricing. So all the vendors have set pricing to offer to all customers. So there is no, bid war. For Eversource's sake, if they had to go out and pre-approve all these projects, 3 times for one project because of 3 different vendors, nothing would ever happen, nothing would get done. So that's the program that we're in, and that's why, like Angus said, the pricing was already preset. We came in and put the pieces together, and that's what we did.
Can we have an introduction of these 3 gentlemen?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't even know who they are.
Well, they're going to introduce themselves right now, and then they're going to give us a little bit of a show for us, okay?
I'm Greg Morris with New England Energy Controls. Worked right out of East Haddam and grew up here in Essex and went to school here in town. John went through the Valley myself. I handle, my boss actually couldn't be here tonight. He's away unexpectedly, so I'm filling in for him, but I do handle the day-to-day operation of all the HVAC automation that would be put in on this project. And one of the big things would be to get rid of all those old pneumatics that have been around for 25 plus years and are nickel and dime in the town to death. There's leaks, there's, the thermostats are hissing on the walls, and there's a lot of different things that are just over age, they're starting to wear out. And so, the new valves that we'll be putting in are high efficiency, valves, and we can actually read the GPM going through the air handlers on these new valves. So the gallons a minute of water going through them. The old ones couldn't do that. So we can actually look at the schedule of values and say, hey, that air handler only needs 20 gallons per minute going through it, and the old pneumatic one was given at 80. And now we can bounce that down back to where it was designed to do. So that in turn will save energy. It's not really counted in any of these figures, but we know we could save more by doing the...
It's more accurate.
Exactly, by doing the HVAC.
I'm Stephen Pozzanento with PTE. PTE Energy is one of the approved vendors for Eversource, and we partner up with companies, in particular New England Energy Control, to put together comprehensive projects. We're electrical contractors by trade and handle the electrical installation of the energy efficiency, projects that we put together. Now, speaking of putting it together, Will Giblin is our program administrator. He puts it all together and does all the calculations and all the specifications, and very smart guy.
He keeps nodding his head.
So, I'm Will Giblin. I've been working in the field for the last 8 to 10 years. And again, we've been doing these kinds of projects for municipalities throughout the state, working with Eversource, getting the projects financed, getting them incentivized to be able to help keep them cost effective to customers such as the town. As far as these specific 3 projects, again, there's the whole mechanical side where each of the projects also has energy management system component to it, where it's going to allow for ease of, what would you say, the
Ease of maintenance and adjustability, all back to a main computer.
Yep, where each of the different thermostats is going to be able to be read off of even just pulling out a cell phone. You can access and see what's going on with each of the different components of the system. So it's not just the valves, there's also the energy management system where there's controllability.
And not to interrupt too, but back to the energy management before you go off on the lighting, you're also going to receive alarms that something happened in the building, whether the boilers went down, whether a room got too hot or too cold before somebody's complaining or before somebody comes in, for that day. Sorry, Will.
I used to work in the library, and the back room was such a different temperature than the front room. It was just unlivable.
Yep, and that's where the different thermostats are going to be able to be reading those temperatures. They have multiple functions where they have set point, they have different, they have occupancy detectors where after the space isn't occupied, it would be able to set the temperature down a couple degrees or up a couple degrees in order to help save energy too. Where if it's warm, but there's nobody in the room, it would be able to reduce the HVAC so that but it's not gonna be too bad where it does get occupied again, it will kick right back to where the set temperature is. So that's a great part of the project for all three of the buildings. And then the lighting aspect is all LEDs. The outside of the elementary school had already been upgraded to LED about 5 years ago. So what we have is basically almost every single light in the elementary school is being converted to LED, except for like 5 wall sconces that have screw-in CFLs, which we can't do through the utility program because we can't save enough energy. So basically every fluorescent bulb is being replaced with a new LED tube and driver, which carries with it a minimum 5-year warranty. There's 2-year labor warranty through the program that we offer. And with the gymnasium and media center, there are some new high-bay fixtures that are more cost-effective to use than doing the tube and driver based on the fluorescent bulbs that are existing there.
And we install all of our own work. Other ESCOs sub out work. We are in-house, so we make sure that the quality's there, and we're here to work with you. We're not one of those, install and run. We want to make the town our electrical content customer as well.
Charlie, voter,
Yep.
Deep River, green voter actually. Could you talk a little bit about the overall percentages of, the energy savings? Maybe any kind of environmental positive impact from that?
Sure.
And put it in, high-end terms. I don't mean, I'm not a smart guy.
So take that into consideration.
Keep it low level, but this as far as just environmental.
So just as far as like an environmental impact, I have a sheet for each of the different projects. So at the town hall, the projected savings over the course of 5 years at that facility would be 136,815 kilowatt hours and 5,560 CCF, which is heating savings. And that equates to basically the amount of electricity that's used in 10 houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where it's equivalent to 267 barrels of oil that don't need to be burned, or 21 cars that could be taken off the road.
Per year, for the entirety of the project?
So that's the savings that would be seen over 5 years, but that would be for each year that those different examples would be taken into account.
Okay.
And I have the same kind of thing for each of the projects. So for the library, it would be it's
Is
a similar.
that substantial? I mean, is that?
Oh yeah, it's definitely substantial. Yeah. Again, just in the electric savings on that project, it's equivalent to about $25,000 in electrical energy costs in 5 years, and that doesn't include the heating. And then at the library, it's similar, where it's $21,000 saved, which is equivalent to 8.5 homes, 17 cars, or 250 barrels of oil. And then you have the big one, which is the elementary school, and that saves like 33.5 homes, or like 882 barrels of oil that don't need to be burned. It equates to $80,000 of electric cost savings over the 5 years, where that's 495,990 kilowatt hours and 13,310 CCF. And those are the numbers that were reviewed by the utility and agreed upon by them, where they took the numbers that we had put together and then they scrutinized them and came up with these values that they feel are safe, where they would put their stamp of approval on. They will pay the incentive money on it, where, again, they're not going to pay money towards it, and if they didn't feel it was valid.
And so generally, maybe this is to the board, Angus, do you feel like this is going to make us more energy independent? You talked about pricing earlier, so less, I'm extrapolating a little bit, but it feels like this would less beholden to Eversource, if you will.
Well, independent is, we're dependent on the
Right.
providers.
Yeah.
We'll never, until we put a fuel cell up or, a huge solar panel, we won't be independent. Even then, we'll have to depend on the gas. But it will certainly make us more efficient.
Less dependent, I guess. Maybe
Less
would that be a better word? Less dependent?
Yeah. Go ahead.
One thing we discussed concerning the school was the fact that at this point in time, the project's going to start during the school year. It's going to be able to be done at nighttime without any interruption to the classrooms.
Yeah, I'll let you guys speak to this, but yes, they've pretty much
That's-
assured
yeah,
us.
just
It-
wanna
a little
bring that
different,
up.
a little differently, but yeah, they're going to come in there as soon as, if this gets approved tonight, they'll be in there tomorrow. And they've assured us that they will have everything done in any of the public spaces before school starts. And then they'll be working nights and weekends to get it done.
We're going to try to meet that, where we're going to try to bang it out as quick as we can. There might be a little bit of overlap, but anything that doesn't get done in those public spaces would be done on like holidays or school breaks, such as the holidays that the students have off that our workers wouldn't have off.
Or after hours.
Yep.
John?
Just in terms of just a little bit of equipment, there's a lot of choices available. Are we looking at changing head systems like the boilers and HVAC compressors, condensers, inverters?
No.
They're not.
No, so we're not replacing any boilers. They were just done over at the elementary school. We are adding variable frequency drives on the air handlers for energy savings. We're changing all the valves, the 87 radiation valves at the elementary school, plus all the air handler valves.
So the variable frequency will increase or decrease the
fan speed,
the volume, the
Yeah.
fan speed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes a big difference.
Sure, and then
There's the fans in the gym and
yeah, we're adding
de-strap fans.
de-stratification fans, 6 of them in the gym at the elementary school.
What is that?
Ceiling fans, big
Oh, just big ceiling fans.
de-stratification fans, and 2 in the library to get the heat back down and to circulate the air better in those big spaces.
Did you look at changing out AC equipment to heat pump and inverter, variable volume operating systems? Did you look at that at all?
I believe they did.
I
and
believe
think
we
the
looked
cost-
at doing the mini
payback-
split, right? It was just
The payback.
New equipment, yeah, new equipment is very hard to
Yeah.
have a payback on.
I mean, that type of equipment really saves it.
Right.
And it works so much better in terms of dehumidification especially.
Yep.
But you did look at that.
We did look at
We
it.
did look at that, but that can't fall into this program.
Right.
If in the future we want to move forward with that, we try to do that, do that again.
I don't
Nancy?
know.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I'm a layman, but from what I'm hearing, this sounds almost like a no-brainer because it's calculated to be at worst a break even, and you've mentioned 3 or 4 things that are likely to be additional savings that just weren't calculated into it. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, I mean, you know, so it appears to me that no matter what, it is a savings to the taxpayer, probably in the short run, but definitely in the long run. And after the 10 years, when the loan is paid off, the savings would be that much greater.
Good for the environment.
Yep,
Yeah.
and it's good positive. John, Dwayne had something.
No, I don't want to throw our director of facilities, but Mr. Waz is down there, and maybe he can speak about the problems that he's had at the school regulating the valves and the heat in the different areas. Some areas, like Susan said, are hot here and cold there, and it affects the children. So, Pete, I mean, you deal with it every day, so, you know.
It's exactly what they said. It's old equipment. It is hard to adjust stuff because it's air operated. You get the air leaks, like Greg said. It's just going to be more efficient by having something that's digital.
I'll give you guys an example real quick. I was over doing some legwork at the school, and I had to pull a thermostat off to see which way the pneumatic tubes went, whether they went up or down. And I pulled it off, and the tubes were so dry rotted, they kept breaking off. I was trying to put them back on these little fittings, and I kept breaking them back and back and back, and I finally had to go out to the truck to get all new tubing, just by taking the thermostat off the wall and putting it back on. So, you know, and that's what happens during the day when somebody goes over to adjust it, it moves a little bit, it breaks the tube off, and they start hissing, and, you know, then Pete gets called, and the heat goes wide open when you lose air, so now the teachers complain, the kids are hot, so it's.
John, no.
I just wondered how long it was going, you expected to take to be completed.
What is the?
So as far as the 3 projects combined, we're thinking it's probably going to be in the 4 to 5 month range probably, where we're going to try to bang out the biggest part of the elementary school project within the next month, and then finish it up over the course of the following month. And then
It's kind of like Christmas.
as far as finishing the town hall and the library, yeah, it's probably going to be towards Christmas.
Yeah, it's important to remember that these are 3 separate projects that are bundled into one project. And we're going to focus on the elementary school because that's the biggest component and also where the most people are going to be.
Is the bundling to take advantage of the Eversource
Yes.
incentive? So if we were to picket this over time, we would lose out on that $77,000.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I think that's an
Yeah.
important thing
Yeah.
to consider,
Yeah.
that there's a timeliness and a
Now, the incentive program is not ending, but we don't know if it's gonna go up, if it's gonna go down, where it's going to be. You know, the state robbed that program for the last 2 years in a row. They took money out of that, so. Jonathan, you had something?
We have 2 empty chairs here.
There you go. John?
We want some, one here, one here.
I mean, generally, I think that, as someone back there said, it ends up being kind of a no-brainer project. When you're looking at lighting alone and the electrical impacts, I don't know whether that changes any circuitry or anything as well. But, you know, over the time, that's big. I would suggest that we will need to look at head systems, actually, the main equipment. I mean, 20 to 25 years old, you mentioned changing those pneumatic valves to electronic. They'll fit into new equipment much better, number one. But, and also these fan controls will also work with the newer equipment as well. Have you considered in the future moving new equipment in and how that will work with what you are doing?
Yeah, so the equipment that we're putting in would be totally compatible, you know, as far as the controls go, with a new piece of equipment. We have, it's all BACnet communication, which is a universal building automation communication that everybody can talk to. And that's in the industry, you know. So it can definitely be retrofitted. You know, the speed drives can go on another air handler. The valves would stay the same because you're still going to have a heating valve on the air handler, so they would still be in play if, in fact, you needed to upgrade the system. Now, the original equipment that's there is still going to get all new sensors, you know, so they're all pneumatic temperature sensors are being taken out and new electronic ones are being put on. So the coils and the metal, the equipment is still going to be the same. Right now.
You're putting more efficient controls for the older equipment.
Correct.
Right.
It's hard to calculate the impact of that, but I mean, just given the age, 20 to 25 years of equipment alone, you know, you get a degradation in that kind of stuff, especially something like pneumatic. It's actually a mechanical system working. It's going to be, you know, terrible really at this point probably. Electronics should last longer in terms of its efficiency and accuracy. But I would like to, I know I'm going to jump in ahead here, but I would like to think that at some point we think about, you know, really advanced systems, heat pumps, inverters, maybe even geothermal. We have a stream that runs through this town that causes trouble for everybody. Maybe we could take advantage of it in terms of thermal capture. But just to think ahead, I would say this project fits well with whatever we would do down the line. We would have to do this anyway for that. So I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm not saying
And I think that further down the road will be a big project because especially the elementary school, the main building is a very old building.
Yeah.
And the best, if we can do the best we can now to be efficient with that old building, you know, we should do that. And I think, you know, looking in the future, but because I mean, I was on the school board when they put the individual window air conditioners in that building because there was no air conditioning. And there was no way, there's no ducting, there's no nothing to support an HVAC system there, so the window units were put in. So, you know, that's not very efficient, and if we can do whatever we can to help offset or make an old drafty building, you know, as efficient as we can, I think it's a good thing to do.
I think, John, to your point, we are constantly looking for how we can improve efficiencies in all of the municipal buildings. And that certainly is on the list of what to do. It just could not fit into this project.
Just on maintenance, trying to keep up. I mean, maintenance is incredibly expensive. Especially, I mean, you're just adding old stuff to more old stuff. It costs you a lot more than, you know, putting something new in and doesn't do as good a job.
More efficient use of Pete and his staff's time than going around and changing bulbs.
But see, all those numbers aren't showing up on the savings that we're seeing because we don't know what's going to break.
And they don't.
Right.
And so we budget for X and we have to pay out Y, it costs more money. So now we don't have to worry about it because we have a 5-year warranty on it.
Well, and, you know, Eversource is kicking in $77,000. So it's.
Makes it easier. I don't like to call anything a no-brainer, but it's after an awful lot of thought and process when it's, but particularly by these contractors, I think it's a good decision.
Could we have our town engineer, these guys, I don't want to say, I'm not implying anything negative about them, but they are the contractors that are proposing this project. They will be the contractors that will be being paid to do the work. Have we had the town engineer or anyone else review the proposal, or was it just Eversource?
Eversource did that for this, and I think that they're, based on the changes that were made from the project proposal to the end result, I think they looked at it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, the technical review took
Yeah.
Over 3 months,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It doesn't relate to the project. What's Eversource's motivation?
Well, they have to, so everyone here is paying into the fund. You pay your electrical bill or your gas bill, there's a portion of it that goes to the energy efficiency fund that then in turn needs to go back to help people be energy efficient. Some people, like with the raids, unfortunately, you know, legislators try to take it, but it is supposed to go back to energy efficiency. So you're paying into it, you might as well, you know, take advantage of it.
It looks nice when they go to the legislature and ask for a rate increase.
They have a nuclear plant that's about to go offline in 10
Not
years.
to be kidding.
Around 30% of their power production leaves. And you have to make that up. It's not rocket science. Atomic is going away. And the other thing is that the utility
ask if
is
we can
mandated by
have
the
anything
federal
to
government to save a certain amount of energy where they have to
Have these kinds of programs in place to help meet those.
Do we have anything more, any other questions for the contractors? Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say to instruct us as to what you're doing?
Well, other than, you know, we look forward to working with you and the town, and you know, we look forward to a great project. And we will take, especially the school into consideration, and, you know, children come first.
Any other comment? We have a motion on the floor to accept this proposal. It's been motioned and made and seconded.
Second?
We have that. This was the discussion. So, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Good job.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Where are we gonna build a coal plant?
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
you.
for coming.
Thank you.